Hello to all the spectators and the listeners. Yes, this is Rizvin Oshad study in class 12th C and today present here to tell you about the topic, and the topic of the day is all about flowers and its types. So let's start. As we already know that there are two types of phanerogamous plants, gymnosperm and other is angiosperm. Gymnosperm is derived of two words, gymno and sperma. Gymno means necked and sperma means seed, whereas angiosperm is also derived of two words, angio and sperma. Angio means covered and sperma means seed. So, gymnosperm has necked seed, whereas angiosperm has covered seeds. So let's move on to the angiosperms and gymnosperms plant. Basically, angiosperms are the seed-producing flowering plants whose seeds are enclosed within an ovary, while gymnosperms are seed-producing non-flowering plants whose seeds are uneven, unenclosed or necked. Gymnosperms are the most primitive and simple seed plant in which seed coat is absent. These plants are perennial, evergreen and woody. Gymnosperm plants are known as reptile of the plant kingdom. They have saprophytic life cycle. Now come on to the angiosperms. In the angiosperm or flowering plants, the pollen grains and ovules are developed in a specialized structure called flowers. In angiosperms, the seed are enclosed by fruit. The angiosperms are an exceptionally large group of plants occurring in wide range of habitat. They range in size from tiny, almost microscopic wolfia to the smallest tree of eucalyptus over 100 meters. Angiosperm plants also have the saprophytic life cycle. They consist of flowers, fruits, seeds, etc. Now let's have an example of angiosperms and gymnosperm. In angiosperm you can see that all the plant parts like flowers, fruits, seeds are visible, whereas in gymnosperms all these plant parts are not present or absent. Only seeds are visible to us which have no covering. In angiosperms cotyledons are present, whereas in gymnosperms cotyledons are absent. On the basis of presence of cotyledons, angiosperms are further divided into monocots and dicots. Monocotyledons plants are known as monocots, whereas dicotyledon plants are known as dicots. They are called monocots because they have single cotyledons, and they are called dicots because they have double cotyledons. Plant with seeds having one cotyledon are known as monocot, whereas plant with two cotyledons are known as dicot. In monocotyledons, leaves have parallel venations, whereas in dicotyledons, the leaves have branched venations, or we can say reticulate venation. In monocotyledons, vascular bundles are scattered, whereas in dicot, these vascular bundles are arranged in a ring. In monocotyledons, it has fibrous root system, whereas in dicot, it has taproot system. Talking about flowers, in monocotyledons, flowers part are present in multiples of 3, whereas in dicotyledons, flowers part are present in multiples of 4 or 5 or equal to 4 or 5, as you can see here that 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Have a more clear image, so let's determine the differences between monocotyledons and dicotyledons on the basis of root system and petal system. In monocotyledons, they have the fibrous root system, whereas in dicotyledons, they have the taproot system. In monocotyledons, flowers petals are arranged in the multiples of 3 petals, and in dicot plant, the flowers petals are in multiples of 5 or equals to 5. So now let's take an examples of monocotyledons. For example, orchids and daffodils. Here you can see that the flowers petals are present in the multiples of 3. There are 6 petals are visible, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's see more examples like banana trees, dates, maize. Here in banana tree, you can see that the leaves have the parallel venations. So here now let's see some more examples of monocotyledons like white trillium, dwarf daylily, tulips. Here in white trillium you can see that there is 3 petals of the flower. It means it is monocotyledon. In dwarf daylily you can also again see that there is petals of multiples of 3, that is it 6 petals, 1 2 3 4 5 6. It means it shows that it is monocot. Other examples of monocots are onion, wheat, coconut. Here in coconut you can see that the leaves have the parallel venations, so it means it shows that it is monocot. So now moving on to the examples of dicots, let's see. The examples are China rose, sunflower and jasmine. Here in jasmine you can see that the petals are in the multiples of 5, 1 2 3 4 5, so it means it is dicot. Now let's have some more examples of dicotyledons like oak trees, daisies, peas. Here again you can see that in oak trees the leaves have the reticulate venations. Here in daisies flower you can see that the flowers petals are in the have so many petals, it means they are the multiples of 5. Now let's have some more examples of dicots like guava, beans, mango. Here in guava you can see that the leaves have the reticulate venation. Also here in the mango you can see that the leaves again have the reticulate venation. It means they are dicot plants. About the parts of the flower. There are so many parts of the flower as you can see here. So firstly we talk about peduncle. Peduncle is the basal part of the flower. It is the stalk of the flower. Now talking about the receptacle. Receptacle is the part of the flower stalk where the part of the flowers are attached as you can see here. Now moving on to the next part, that is sepals. Sepals are the units of the calyx, the outer part of the flower, often green in color, leaf-like, that enclosed a developing bud. As you can see the green part here, that is a sepal. Now moving on to the next part, that is petals. Petals are the colorful parts, that is here you can see the red colored part, it is the petal. Petals are the colorful part that attract the insects for the pollinations. Now moving on. So petals plus sepals are called perianth. The combination of sepals and petals are known as perianth, as you can see here. So now let's talk about the another part of the flower, that is pistil. Pistil is also known as carpel or gynoecium. It is the female reproductive part. It is consist of 3 parts: stigma, style and ovary. Here you can see that this part is called stigma, this part is called style, whereas this part is called ovary. The ovule producing part of a flower is known as pistil. The ovary often supported by a long style and topped by a stigma. The mature ovary is a fruit and the mature ovule is a seed. Here the stigma serves as the landing platform for the pollen grains, whereas the style is the elongated slender part beneath the stigma, and ovary is the bulged part of the pistil. Inside the ovary is the ovarian lobule or a cavity. Talking about the next part of the flower, that is a stamen. Stamen is also made up of 2 parts, anther and filament. Stamen is the male reproductive part, also known as androecium. As you can see that the topmost part is called anther and these long slender part is called filament. The pollen grain producing part of the flower, usually with a slender filament and supporting by the anther, is called stamen. So yes, let's here we talk about the So let's have a more clear understanding about the structure of the stamen. As I already told you that stamen is made up of two parts, anther and filament. So the long slender stalk called filament, whereas the terminal generally bilobed structure is called anther. Anthers have a bilobed and the dicotyledons structure. Pollen grains are developed in these pollen sacs. Here you can see the different parts of the flower like leaf, stem, petals, stamen, pistils, and this is the whole flower. So let's see the dissection of a hibiscus flower. We will see that how the hibiscus is dissected. So yes, firstly we remove the outermost non-essential walls of sepals very carefully, slowly without disturbing any other parts of the flower. Okay, so we will removing this very slowly, and the next process is to remove the petals of the flower, each petals very smoothly, very carefully, slowly. So we are removing the petals. Yes, it is going to be completing. Yes, so when the petals are removed, then we again remove the second wall of the petals, that is corolla and leftover parts of the sepals. After this, we slit the posterior end, and the style of the flower is split open. Very slowly, a very thin layer we remove of the style, very thin layer, very carefully, slowly. Okay, yes, open the style, and now we get to see the ovary, and we remove the ovary very carefully. As it is small, our little mistake will ruin all our work. So now the ovary is open to reveal the tiny ovule. As I already told you that ovule is present inside the ovary. The mature ovule is called seed and the mature ovary is called fruit. Yes, and yes, do this work very slowly, very carefully. Oh yes, you can see this picture, and this is the ovary. Let's review all the other parts which we have dissected. Like this is the petal, you can see the yellow anthers, you can see it produces pollen. The stigma, you can see here the pink color, it is the stigma. And now you can see the ovule and the ovary. This is the ovary and this is the ovule. So yes, in this way the hibiscus flower is dissected and we get the ovule inside the ovary. As you know that the ovules are found in the ovary. Okay, I hope you understand all the topics which I tell you, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you may understand.